You can look at me. You don't have to look at any of these cameras, just like we're having a conversation. All right, Rodney, I have a list of 6 basic questions here. I'm going to ask the same to you, and I'm going to ask the same to Jamie. The first one here I'm going to ask is, why are you running?
I served the citizens of Biloxi, my adult life. I started, well, let me back up just a little bit. I'm a military transplant. I was raised in the Air Force, loved every day of it. My dad was transferred here in 1971. And he was Chief Master Sergeant, Keysville Air Force Base, hospital. And I graduated from Biloxi in 1972. I had plans to join the Air Force, but that just didn't work out. Decided to stay here with my mom and dad. Dad went in business, I went in business with him. I wanted to go in a different direction, so I joined the police department reserves 2 or 3 years prior to me joining the force in May 1976. 40 plus years later, I retired in 2016 as the assistant chief, 15 years assistant chief. I held just about every rank, every position in the police department. I went from the bottom up. And I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoy service. I just love Biloxi. I was fortunate when I retired in 2016 that Mayor Gillage appointed me to Biloxi Housing Authority Board, where I've been presently I'm chairman of the board the last 2 years. And that kept me in the circles. I love helping people. I love solving problems. And that's what I did for most of my upper chain of command positions in the police department. I was patrol commander for 13 years prior to being assistant chief for 15. And I dealt with issues and problems then as patrol commander and definitely in the chief's office for 15 years. And I enjoyed that. And I just wasn't ready to, I was ready to move on to something different. And it was a big decision for me. The chief of police up there now, John Miller. I can't say enough about him. He's known all up and down the coast, state, federal. I've said many, many times I would have retired 2, 3.5 years earlier had it not been for John Miller's leadership. So I stayed. I enjoyed every day working for that man. He's a great man. And but to answer your question, I received so many phone calls after I retired to run for city council, and I decided to do that because I want to get back into service again. I saw what was going on in our ward. We just have had a lack of attention, and I wasn't able to overcome Robert Demick, who was the councilman, and I still got the feedback from my supporters for the second one. I did the same. Very few votes I lost, and then when this new situation came up 2.5 years ago, I prayed about it, talked to my wife, and she says, now it's time. And again, a lot of my supporters say, let's go. So I want to get in on the ground floor of getting this ward to be the best ward in the city. And in addition to that, working hand in hand with my fellow councilmen and the administration. I know all the directors. I know them on a first name basis. I can work with them. They worked with me when I was at the police department. Even though it was 7.5 years ago, I still know those folks. And I know all the folks in the administration. I've got a good relationship with all the city council, I believe. And I think I get things done for our ward. And me and my wife, as I've stated on several conversations, we walked over 60, well, closer to 70 plus miles. In this ward alone, there's over 7,000 homes in this ward. Can't reach them all, but have reached and touched and spoke to a lot of them. And they all had the same concern. The 5 candidates, including myself that ran, we all had the same concern. We had 2 forums, one at Sunkist. I think everybody did a good job. We had one at the Biloxi Businessmen's Club. I think everybody did a good job. Different questions, but numerous questions that asked each one of us. And we all had real good responses, I believe, in my view. And that was the comments that I got from many people at the Sunkist Forum and many people in the Biloxi Businessmen's Club. And so we all kind of had the best ideas and thoughts for our ward. And as I've been walking the path, well, since last Tuesday's election, talking to some of the residents that have called me, want to come by and see me, and that's how I'm doing it now. That's how I'm communicating with an attempt to contact most of the residents in our ward.
You mentioned this a little bit, but like I said, I have certain list of questions I'm going to ask both of you and Jamie. What qualifies you to be a Ward 4 councilman?
I think what qualifies me is my 40-year service in the police department. I know how to get things done. I was always known as a problem solver. I had a relationship second to none I'm proud of at Keesler Air Force Base for many years. General Griffin, he was over in Chin. I met him when he came to Keesler Air Force Base with Special Olympics. I touched Special Olympics for over 20 plus years. Matter of fact, that's where I met my wife 40 years ago in the Special Olympics program. We've been married for 40 plus years too. And I was a household word at Keesler Air Force Base, and I'm proud of that. Anytime somebody on that base had an issue, they called that McGilvery guy downtown. And I was talking to somebody just that the other day, another 2-star general. There was a World War made that comment. He said, "No, I know, man. I know. Anytime we had to change in the guard and things like that, you were always out here." I said, "Absolutely, I was, because you folks invited me." I have that relationship. I have that relationship with the city administration and the people downtown and the departments, and that will greatly help accomplish the things that we need to accomplish in Ward 4. We don't have a lot of big issues in Ward 4. We have progress report problems in Ward 4. We have dates and times of projects, getting it out to the citizens of Biloxi that we haven't had in years and years. They want somebody they can call that'll return their phone call. Well, this guy always did that, always will do that. I won't make everybody happy, but I'll give my best attempt to work with their problem, solve their problem, because their problem's gonna be my problem. And you take something, I originally wanted, I asked you to meet me down at Marble Cherry, which I didn't know was 100 degrees outside, I wanted that backdrop of the swing set that is, everybody's talked about that, and that's just one example of what I'm sorry.
Well, let me ask you about that. What are your top priorities in Ward 4?
My biggest top priorities are making sure that I can communicate with the citizens when they have issues, which everybody's got my phone number, whether it's text, call, email, whatever it might be. That open communication will take place. We've been lacking in that for the past 2.5 years. We've had a cloud over not only the ward, but over the city council and the city of Biloxi. I won't say no more about that. And that cloud is gone. And it's time to have somebody that's accountable, that will be responsible. And to answer your question, I know I kind of went around, but to answer your question, that recreation area, the walking track, which I walk 3 times a week, haven't since then, 2 miles a day. I got an 8-year-old grandson that I take to that park all the time, playing in the water and everything. It is the most deplorable recreation location anywhere in the city, because me and my wife spent 2 days just driving around looking one day to find that one was the most deplorable. That's going to be right at the top of my list. Then go across the street to the dog park. I erred in my first campaign. I didn't really realize the interest, not only from our local people in that dog park, but from the out-of-state folks, until it was brought to my attention. Well, then it kind of moved to the top of the list. I did talk about that dog park. And I have a dog, hadn't barked yet, but I have a dog. And I don't know much about dog parks. But I'll tell you this, I did research dog parks on my first campaign with the assistance of Sherry Bell, Director of the Park and Recreation, and she gave me some insight, because I had some questions myself. I'm an easy question, drainage, sewage, that type of thing.
Sure.
And the attention needs to be to that dog park as well. You'll go by there any given time and see out-of-state tags. People coming in off the interstate with a dog, and they heard about the dog park, and I'm sure they buy gas, buy food, and maybe even spend the night here. So that's something that needs to be moved on. On the campaign trail, people talk about sidewalks, drainage, ditches, all the wards, and of course the flip side of that is the lack of ability to get employees to fill those numbers. We all know that public works is lacking in filling positions. I know more about the police department because I'm a 40-year veteran of the police department. They're 25, 30 positions short. Not that they may not be able to fill them, but we'll go back to finance, we'll go back to money, we'll go back to, there was a time not long ago that the city of Biloxi employees were the highest paid, best equipped, best insurance, whatever the other best is, we were that for years. Why are we number 3 now? Why is Ocean Springs entry level patrolman number 1 in the South? Well, in this area. They don't have any casinos. Duckport's number 2, they have 1.5 casinos, I guess if you call that 1.5. not saying they're right, but they have one. We got 8, but we're number 3. And I was listening to I think it was a budget hearing. No, it was a special called council meeting for pay raises. This was like the 4th or 5th one we've had, and we're way past the present financial budget. That they're still talking about giving pay raises to employees, but trying to figure out how to do it. And the fire department appeared from what the fire chief said, is they're in pretty good shape, other than the pay. They do have some folks that are going to Slidell, Mobile, because the pay is different, the benefits are better, and their retirement's different. I didn't know that until when I was listening to my counselor. I think they said their retirement was 2025. We're 30, and big difference. 5 years is a big difference if there is work. But they're working on it. They're talking about it. But we got to do something about that, and that's going to be another top priority that I'll jump on. There could be a very good reason. I know the position that the mayor's taken. I've heard him speak, and I can understand that and talk about inflation and these type of things. But you have to do what you have to do. You have to pay your employees. And prime example was Councilman Tisdale. I think it was yesterday. Saw Mr. White with Public Works out in 110-degree heat from I think Public Works might have been utilities, but from the city. Repairing something. I don't recall off the top of my head what he was repairing. But here's an employee who's out on Sunday working his tail off. We got to make sure these people are taken care of. We got to make sure that they're paid a decent salary, and that's top priority as well. And then the list goes down. You know,
Well, let me ask you this real quick. And you kind of touched on this with the retirement issue, and as well as the pay for Biloxi workers. What do you think is the biggest issue in Biloxi as a whole?
Well, it's got to be finance. Just from what I know, I haven't seen their budget. I haven't seen, the tax collections. And I'm just a retired policeman, citizen out here. But those things that I'll look at, I'll sit down and when I become a council member, I'll sit have a long discussion with Councilman Tisdale. I've known Councilman Tisdale way before he became a city councilman. I knew his dad. I knew his brother. I knew him was he was in the Biloxi school system, and we have a very great relationship. And I'm sure he can answer most of those questions that I just talked about. And maybe there are reasons for them, but I know he's been very pro on doing what we need to do to look at whatever is defined. I can't tell you right now because I haven't seen the budget. I can't see what they do here, what they do there. What are we buying here? I don't know all that yet. Sure. But that'll be one of my top priorities too, to get educated. I don't know everything. I know how to manage people. I know how to manage a budget, but if I can't see a budget, I gotta see, maybe there's something in this pot over here, we can move over here, that kind of thing.
You've spent a majority of your career in the police force. You've never held a public office. Are you worried that might be working against you as a potential councilman?
I doubt it. I think I bring some very positive points to this position. One being, I'll be full-time. Nothing against the ones that I ran against, they all got full-time jobs. This guy, the only full-time job is guy's taking care of the wife for 40 years, grandson who wants to become a babysitter. I will be dedicated full-time. Nothing against my opponent right now, but he's got a full-time job. My full-time job is going to be serving the citizens of Biloxi. I know a lot of people. 550, I think, plus voted for me the first time. Very big turnout the first time. Very low turnout the second time, and I still got like 350 votes the second time. I got 288 this time, but there was a lot of people running. And when you walk and talk and knock on doors and talk to folks that remember you were here once, twice, not 3 times, many said, we were shocked you didn't win, but that's the water under the dam. But to answer your question, I know I keep bouncing around it, is that that's what I bring to this world. I bring accountability, I bring ethics, I bring trust. Anybody that knows me knows that. And that's going to help me do this job here. I'm not going to make everybody happy. I'm not going to be able to fix every problem we have. But anybody that brings an issue to me, I'm going to address. And you don't have to be a politician to do that. My thought. And I'm just a good old retired policeman.
There we go. Rodney, anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I thought you might ask me, what is the biggest concern to Ward 4 right now? And like I say, all the candidates, including myself, we've put out there either mail, push cards, knocking and talking about how we're gonna do it, what we're gonna do it, what our plans are and everything. But I think the biggest decision right now here today on 9th July is out of the two candidates, who has a proven record? Who has a proven record of service to the citizens of Biloxi? Who will be full-time, not part-time? Do we want that guy, which is Rodney McGilvery, or do we want the other guy who is Jamie Creel, that has a history of encounters with law enforcement? I think when it comes down to the votes, it's an easy choice for Rodney McGilvery for 9th July.
Well, thank you, sir.
Are y'all done?
Oh, I didn't talk too much.
Oh, no, it's fine, man.
All right. I wish you'd have said he had a habit of breaking or getting arrested, but that's fine.
What is